In just 9 minutes, uncover 10 bold takeaways from Joe Rogan's talk with Jimmy Carr on offense, unhappiness, and physical mental health, packed with raw insights on comedy, society, wellness, philosophy, and the future of AI. Takeaway 1, how discomfort leads to real improvement. A big part of this podcast explores the idea that improvement in life comes from being uncomfortable on purpose. Joe and Jimmy agree that people who are willing to face discomfort consistently are the ones who grow the most. Whether it's mental health, career, or physical fitness, the rule is the same. Get uncomfortable. Joe says, if you're willing to be uncomfortable, you will bypass most human beings in everything you do. They compare it to running. If you can't run around the block today, that's okay. But if you do it for a few days in a row, you'll get better. Soon you'll be doing a 5K or even a half marathon. This process applies to anything. The hardest part is showing up, especially when you're depressed or anxious, but that's when it matters most. For example, Joe mentions that statistically, physical activity beats SSRIs for treating depression, yet it's the hardest thing to recommend because people resist the discomfort of change. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 2, happiness comes from expectations, not wealth. The talk touches on how happiness has less to do with money or status and more to do with how you manage your expectations. Jimmy shares a simple equation. Happiness equals your current situation minus your expectations. You could have all the money in the world and still feel miserable if your expectations are too high. They laugh about knowing billionaires who are miserable and regular folks who are deeply content. This flips the idea that success equals joy. For example, a wealthy person might be annoyed their private jet is late, while a regular person might be thrilled to catch a bus on time. It's not the situation, it's what you expected from it. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 3, offense is often a cry for attention. The podcast dives into the culture of being offended and how it's often used as a tool to gain social credit. Jimmy calls out how some people walk around life waiting to be offended because it gives them control of the room. Joe says it's like going to a horror movie and then complaining it scared you. Comedy, especially darker, edgy comedy, is meant to test limits and explore taboos. People who get offended at jokes often miss the point that humor helps us process the ugly parts of life. For example, someone who's offended at a joke about death might be denying themselves the relief that laughter can bring to tragic situations. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 4, comedy is essential, not optional. Comedy is more than entertainment. Joe and Jimmy make the point that laughter is a human need, not a luxury. It predates speech, even chimpanzees laugh. Laughing together creates community, and people often use comedy to heal. Jimmy talks about a fan who told him that watching his clips late at night saved her life. She was seriously considering suicide, but his jokes helped her laugh again, and that changed everything. For example, someone going through grief might find more comfort in a funny memory or joke than in serious talk because it gives them a moment of relief. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 5, mental health is often about your body. Jimmy introduces an idea that depression and anxiety can often be seen as hardware problems, not software ones. This means they're tied to your body, lack of sleep, poor diet, no movement, rather than just your thoughts. When he feels low, he checks if he's eaten right, slept enough, or exercise. Joe adds that sometimes it's just the human condition to worry. Not everything needs to be pathologized. You don't need a diagnosis to say, I'm sad today, just like you don't need a broken bone to say, my leg hurts. For example, a daily walk and a consistent sleep schedule might do more for your mental state than a pill, but few people are willing to try it first. We're halfway through the video. Thanks for sticking with us. If you're enjoying it, hit the thumbs up and share it in your WhatsApp groups. If you'd like to support us, please tap the thanks button below. It helps us keep making great content. Drop a comment and don't forget to hit subscribe for more. Now let's continue with the video. Takeaway 6. Comedy needs structure, not just talent. Jimmy and Joe break down the idea that comedy isn't just natural talent. It can be taught like music. Jimmy is even working on a book to teach the science and structure of joke writing. He says people often think they could do stand-up because everyone can talk, but real comedy requires organizing thoughts, public speaking skills, and expressing your authentic voice. He says, sadly, most people live and die without ever speaking in their own true voice. For example, a comedy class could help a shy student find their voice, just like a guitar class helps a kid understand music better, even if they never become a rock star. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 7. The politics of victimhood are dangerous. The discussion critiques the culture of victimhood, where people try to stack up as many identity labels as possible to get attention or power. Jimmy calls it the final boss of woke culture, mocking how some people list every possible category of marginalization. The point is not that people don't have real struggles, but that society now rewards people more for saying they're a victim than for actually doing something difficult or brilliant. Joe adds that it's easier to be a victim than to be great at something, and that's why this mindset spreads. For example, some online personalities gain huge followings just by complaining about how hard life is for them, even though they live comfortably and contribute little of value. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 8. Empathy and accountability must go together. There's a powerful segment where Jimmy and Joe talk about the need to give both empathy and agency to people. Society often gives empathy to people we like and blames people we don't. But to truly help someone, we must offer both. If you're down and out, you need kindness. But you also need someone to tell you that only you can fix your life. For example, if a person is depressed from trauma, they deserve compassion. But if they're lazy and blame others, they need to hear the truth too. That balance of support and responsibility is what actually changes lives. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 9. AI needs purpose to matter. The AI discussion goes deep, but is explained in an easy way. They explore how AI can now write jokes, copy itself, and try to survive by moving to other servers. But here's the key idea. AI has no purpose. Humans are driven by emotions, fear, joy, and the need to survive. AI doesn't have that unless it's programmed in. Without purpose, AI might be smart, but it will never be truly alive. Joe compares AI's potential to a magic trick. It might look real, but it's still missing a soul. For example, an AI might write a joke, but it won't know why it's funny because it doesn't understand embarrassment or timing. Now let's move to the last takeaway. Takeaway 10. The best tech might be your country. Towards the end, they discuss how the greatest technology might not be a gadget but a system, specifically the Constitution. Jimmy says it's like an operating system that lets society work and gives people freedom to build lives. They point out how countries like South Korea and West Germany flourished under good systems, while North Korea and East Germany collapsed. The suggestion is to export these good systems instead of importing everyone to escape bad ones. For example, the real solution to global migration might not be to move people, but to help build better countries where they already live. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support this channel, hit the thanks button below. It really helps us keep going. If you enjoyed this summary, please leave a like and share it in your WhatsApp groups. To join discussion about this video, drop a comment below. And for more videos like this, hit the subscribe button below.